Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed and thank you very much for being here today. Can everyone hear me in this hall? Can I have a show of hands, please? All right. I'm going to need your participation in this presentation by the show of hands, please. So many thanks for your cooperation in advance. All right, this is a question I have. Is there anyone sitting in this hall that feels confident enough to say, I do not need any help with anything in my life at all? Is there anyone in this hall? Good. Well, someone who definitely needs some help with his life is this guy living in North America. Well, he was trying to cut that tree to presumably sell it for a good price. And what happened? It fell and destroyed his house. I hope it never happens to any of us in the future. Now, I'd like to be talking about the current state of our world today. Isn't it amazing how many advances and technological achievements we've had in recent years since 1980s? How much knowledge we have accumulated over the years in this short period? It's mind-blowing, isn't it? Let's take the example of knowledge. Back in the days, there was hardly any suitable place to send your child for education. And if there was any, it was for a certain class of the society. Nowadays, we have 29 million primary class teachers across the globe. We have fields like nanotechnology, nuclear physics, genetics, so on and so forth. With regards to medicine, back in the days, we hardly had enough cure for many illnesses. Nowadays, we have vaccinations, medications, so on and so forth. If you take the example of polio, it used to paralyze many children every year. Nowadays, we have decreased that by 99%, almost eradicated in many places on Earth. And the topic of food, we all love it, especially us Iranians, don't we? We love to have so many options available on our plates. Back in the days, food shortage was a major issue day after day. People used to die out of it. Nowadays, we are producing enough for the consumption of 10 billion people. The topic of transportation and traveling, it was a big concern back in the days, a big project with many risks. Many people used to die on their journeys across the globe. Nowadays, we do it for fun. Back in 2014, we actually broke the all-time record of traveling as 1.1 billion people travel globally. And most importantly, the topic of technology and communication. And we all love it. And in fact, if you give me 1 second, I'll have a selfie with that. Back in the days, you probably had to chase the pigeon in your neighborhood to send the message to the loved one. Imagine having to carry one in your pocket all day. Nowadays, you can easily send the message across the globe with one click. And in fact, Bill Gates says that by 2030, everyone on this planet would be connected. So I think it's logical and it makes common sense to say that we have improved our lives massively in recent years. Isn't it logical and common sense? Can I have a show of hands? Those that agree with me that we have improved our lives? Good. Well, you will be surprised to know the other side of the coin. Well, as of today, we talked about education. 59 million children are excluded from education. And where do they live? They mostly live in developing countries. Those same countries that provide us with cheap and affordable products, and we all love it and buy it. And they're working as the workforce over there. And every time we buy one, we are contributing towards that dirty ecosystem. With regards to medicine, yes, of course, we've had great achievements. But what about the creation of HIV and Ebola? And the worst of all is the crisis coming up, the superbacteria. The antibiotics we created made the bacteria more resistant. And if we don't create new ones, it's going to kill 10 million people every year by 2050. And most tragic of all, the topic of food. Yes, we are producing enough food for the consumption of 10 billion people. Yet, as of now, as you and I are sitting in this hall, 21,000 people are dying from hunger and thirst globally. Hard to imagine. And you may think, well, this phone is not going to harm me. Well, Professor Stephen Hawking suggests that artificially intelligent devices could spell the end of human race, let alone privacy issues, data hacking issues, surveillance issues, so on and so forth. Shall I continue? In modern history, putting the First and Second World War together, we've had 80 million people dead. That's like the whole population of Iran wiped out. And putting the other genocides across the world together with that number, it would be beyond 100 million people. And that's at the hand of technology that we produce. And the topic of global warming. Well, as you take one unnecessary one-passenger car journey across town, you're making the planet warmer. And what does that do? That makes many areas without water. And as a result, 1.6 billion people cannot afford to drink water globally now. So, what needs to be done before we destroy our world? What do we need to do to stop it? Think about it. We've had many achievements, but the side effects are overshadowing our achievements. The answer has always been there. We always aspire towards the perfect world. Isn't it time that we raise our hands in unity, put aside our differences, and work tirelessly towards the same goal? Isn't it time that we unite and we work for the same purpose? Who is on this with me? Who is ready to make the change for a better world starting from today? Fantastic. Well, you'll be surprised to know that this is what the media and the society is making us to believe for thousands of years. Let's say you and I managed to make our city a better place. What about the other 7 billion people across the globe? Is there anything between us or anyone in between in common to unite us for the same goal, for the same purpose? Thousands of years have gone past. Billions of people have come and gone. Did we manage to produce that one person or that one thing in common? Aren't we doing the same to our world and to the next generations after us? By wasting every bit of food, by taking every unnecessary car journey. So this is the question I asked at the beginning. Do we need help? Isn't it time to concede that we may need help? So what options are out there available to us going forward? The first one is the one dominating our world at the moment, that of trial and error. That us only using science and technology, we will eventually get there. We will eventually have a perfect world. Well, I think we failed for so many thousands of years, and I cannot wait to see what happens in the future. And this approach, I feel, is full of arrogance. The other approach is us together, led by someone pure and complete. And that's the approach of the Savior. And I'm going to explain this in more detail. Almost all religions from the beginning of time until now have promised a Savior at the end of the times, at the darkest hours of history. And they promise that person is going to be pure, complete in every sense, and perfect to be able to unite us all for the same purpose, for a perfect world. When you think about it, out of the two options, which one appeals to you more? Which one makes more sense? The first option that has failed us for so many years? Or the second one that gives us hope going forward? And if true, you may ask, what difference does it make if I believe in a Savior and the other person doesn't? Does it make any difference to believe in a Savior or not? Remember the last time your father went on a long trip? I remember that. I was 12. And when he left for a 3-month trip, I told myself, Muhammad, you're going to be the man in the house. You're going to take the family forward and you're going to take care of everyone. But as every day passed, I realized I'm not up to the job. This job can only be done by my father. So when my father was coming back, I had a lot of hope. And I started sorting the house in the way that my father wanted, sorting out my bedroom, giving myself the haircut he wanted, so on and so forth. And when you ask, what does it mean to wait for the Savior, and what difference does it make? Well, when you wait for the Savior, you'll try to become like him. You'll put truth and justice as the main pillars in your life. And you'll try to make less and less mistakes and to commit less sins. You'll start to perfect your personality. And the first step towards that is accepting our shortcomings, is accepting that we are weak and we need help going forward. And who is this Savior when you look out there? Well, I've had the privilege of living in London, in between synagogues, temples, mosques, churches, so on and so forth. And when I did my research, in fact, Shia Islam gives the most detailed definition of the Savior. We have his characteristics, what he looks like, who his family are, what his mission is all about when he comes, and what are our responsibilities. Shia Muslims even pray for him every day. So you can do your own research online and see who has given the most detailed definition of the Savior. And if we are to take that definition, we are here to celebrate the birth of the awaited leader, Imam al-Mahdi. And I think the best gift we can give him today is to change our way of thinking, is to change our frame of mind, and to accept that we are weak. We need guidance and we need assistance. And he is the only solution to our problems going forward. So I'll invite you to start thinking of him as the only solution. And from today, to act in a way as if we really need him going forward. Thank you very much.